totally could use this. Just the kind of thing I need to kill some clowns.
predict some dead clown.
Now that's
Getting hard to breathe.
hell yeah! Not so
there. A basic initial starter killer clown. Each clown will let you choose a unique set of abilities such as stuns, traps, tracking, damage, weird teleportation, and cotton candy powers. And all of the weapons they use are from the movie too. They include cotton candy rays, popcorn guns, big cartoon mallets, and one of my personal favorites that I didn't get to play as is a living balloon animal tracker dog. They'll tie a balloon animal into a dog, and that dog can smell you and hunt you down.
You don't with clowns. We'll twist your dicks into balloon animals.
If you down a human, you have the option to execute them via a clownality, much like a Mortal Kombat fatality. Those include balloon animal swords, shrink rays, boxing, and whatever other wacky stuff the developers could either come up with or pull from the movies. Your objective as a clown is to cotton candy cocoon as many humans as possible and bring them back to your mothership for snacks. If you collect enough of them, the Clown King says that you win. We have enough food, I suppose. We weren't able to complete that objective. You do have the option to just straight up kill humans if you want, but that doesn't benefit you as much as harvesting their blood in the form of cotton candy. As a clown, you're not immortal or invincible, though. It's actually not that hard for humans to kill you by popping your big red nose, and it's a good strategy if you're playing as clowns to actually attack at least 2-on-1. Typically somebody that can slow and distract, and another one that can deal damage and wrap them up with the cotton candy gun. Oh, and for some reason, your shoes squeak super loud everywhere you go on the map. As a clown, you just run all over the map and you hear your own shoes just squeaking everywhere. I swear they stole this idea from the Space Clown class in the tabletop game Pathfinder, which ironically stole this game from the movie, so I guess it's fair game. And I think a huge amount of the cosmetics for the games are designed around clowns, because that's really what people want to play as. Playing as a human is a little bit less fun in my opinion, but is still fun. You can play as one of the 7 humans that spawn on the map in random locations, and you have to meet up with each other first to start, I guess, surviving. As a human, you can walk normally, or crouch to be a little stealthy, or sprint to move fast, but each type of movement uses a different level of noise and can attract the attention of nearby clowns, their AI counterparts, or the tracker dogs. As a human, you're able to scavenge more supplies than I was able to keep track of. There were bricks, there were soda cans, there was fuel cells, all sorts of weapons. Generally, the supplies seem to fit into one of several categories, being health, stimulant boosters, mostly for more stamina, distraction tools like bricks you can throw, and radios, essential components for fixing or repairing machines to escape with, fuel, and of course weapons. Most of your weapons are melee weapons because as a human you're hunted and you are supposed to be weak. However, you may find some actual firearms. Littered around the map, there are some 1980s style police shotguns and pistols. However, ammo is pretty scarce, so my advice would be to use these wisely. If you've got good aim, it's actually not that hard to take down the clowns. I suppose this isn't a twitchy FPS game, but the idea is that even if you take one down, you're probably out of ammo by the time you're done doing so. Humans have the ability to interact with many more areas of the map than the clowns do. I suppose that makes sense because we are in the human's natural environment. For example, there are resurrection machines that you can uncover to bring teammates back, a wide variety of tools that we can use, some that we already disclosed. You can close and lock doors to keep the clowns out, albeit only temporarily as they can beat the doors down. You can set traps, there's lots of places to hide, and of course eventually do enough things to escape the map. Escaping each map requires something different. Each map has a slightly different sort of escape route. The one that I was able to do successfully is to bring fuel to a boat, fuel up the boat, and just boat on off the map. There's also an ice cream truck that shows up that you can get in that will like break through a barrier that you can escape through near the end. And the locations of the items on the map, the escape paths, and the escape options appear to be randomized from match to match and map to map. So it very rarely repeats itself, or at least not in a way that would be easily predictable. In this regard, it's a lot by Dead by Daylight, and a lot of other asymmetrical horror games. Alternatively, as humans, you can just kill a whole bunch of clowns. Like the movie, if you deal enough damage to pop their big red nose, they will die.
Hey baby, the nose stays on in the bedroom.
If you're playing a more aggressive human game and just hunting clowns, eventually something called the Clownpocalypse will happen, It starts a countdown, the rock and roll music plays, that means the match is ending, and it ends with a cotton candy nuclear bomb that levels the map in just like knee-deep cotton candy and everybody dies. In my opinion, it's still fun to play the humans because it's pretty wild to have an actual killer clown from the movie chasing you around the map, and you can kind of put yourself in the mindset of characters from the movie. What would I do? What would I actually do when put on the spot? And that's really fun. However, I will say the humans are just not as fun as the clowns. I gotta admit, it's way more fun to be the clowns, and that's true in most of these asymmetrical horror games. It's way more fun to be the killer or the one with the power than it is to be the one being hunted. When it comes to the maps, they're much bigger than I thought they would be. I will admit that I don't play a lot of asymmetrical horror games, so I don't have very much to compare to. Honestly, the last one I played for any meaningful amount of time was just Dead by Daylight, like on launch, so it's been a very long time. I don't know how big the maps are in the other games, but the maps here were really big. I easily got lost. There were a lot of options, a lot of things to do, and there seems to be plenty of space for many varieties of gameplay, both for clowns and for humans. I will say, however, as a criticism of the game, the maps are not nearly as visually interesting as I thought they would be. Most of them are just normal suburban areas, downtown, campgrounds, stuff like that, that are dark, spooky, somewhat covered in cotton candy with random clown-themed things sitting around. Now, that does make sense because that is exactly the theme of the movie they're trying to recreate down to a T, and they did a great job of that. But it's a bit of a shame because you can tell that the rendering on the clowns and their skin and the way they move and animations got a lot of love from the dev team. The clowns look amazing. To watch something ancient get upgraded into new tech on Unreal Engine is very interesting to me. They've been upscaled from the original, and I think they look downright gorgeous in their own grotesque sort of way. The human skins are not as fun, but they are still interesting amalgamations of 80s characters, 80s cops, rednecks, street punks, yuppies, stuff like that. Even like party girls you can play as with the big hair. It's kind of fun. But compared to the humans and the clowns, the map themselves just seem kind of generic, and in terms of graphics, they honestly seem a little bit dated. I think the maps got the least amount of love, so I'm hoping for DLC and for later levels or whatever that you get to play on the clown mothership, inside the big top, some of the crazier, more disorienting places. Police station might be fun. Maps were very, very simple, but I suppose it's the clowns that are invading Earth, and Earth is oftentimes quite simple. Oh, and lastly, in terms of gameplay, there is somewhat of a plot to this game. In case, for whatever reason, you felt the original movie was lacking plot, you can uncover tapes and newspapers and files and manuscripts to peruse in a section of the main menu called the Clownspiracy, of all things. Of course it's called the Clownspiracy. So if you want to know more about the lore of the game, I suppose that is an option for you. The PC version of the game had very rudimentary options and did not allow for any additional key binding or customization. I couldn't even find the controls. I just had to learn them by guessing. I'll admit I didn't play the tutorial. I hopped straight into playing the game after reading a little fact sheet, but it was really weird that there was no section that I could find for key binding. The controls and menu options were sort of, you operate WASD style for the most part, and it seemed to indicate to me that the game was very much so designed for console players. I'm going to assume that it all happens very naturally and fluidly on PlayStation and Xbox, and I'll say that even though I couldn't see the keybinds, all of the controls for PC were very standard. They were very easy to do. T for talk, control for crouch, shift for sprint. It wasn't exactly hard to control. However, I do think that they need to have a few more options there. Weirdly, it had plenty of graphics options, just graphics options out the wazoo, a colorblind mode, a godsend for this game, but a shame considering the hilarious colors in it. And as far as performance goes, I'm running on not the final build of the game, but it ran really, really well. I don't think it's a particularly graphically intense game, but I ran a solid 120 frame drops, no hitches, no problems. Windowed mode ran fine. All the options I put it through ran fine. I just don't think it's super demanding, so it ran great on PC. I just wish there was more stuff I could customize. So, what is my overall opinion on this game? I think it's good enough for what it's trying to be. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is an infamous bad movie that was just absolutely wild enough to be funny for decades. However, bad games, unlike bad movies, are frustrating because bad games take away from player agency. They make you feel like you're fighting the game to try to do the things you want to do, whereas a bad movie you can just enjoy temporarily, you can see the failure, laugh at it, and keep on moving. The developers did not make a bad game. In that task, they were successful. The game is by no means bad. Everything in the game worked as intended, at least as far as I can tell. I'm playing a pre-release version of the game, but I didn't run into any major bugs, graphical or, most importantly, gameplay-wise. There was nothing particularly janky or clunky or weird or clipping through the floor or any of those kind of typical game problems going on. Everything more or less worked as intended as far as I could tell. Now, I'll be honest with you, the gameplay is not particularly innovative. It's very similar to the other asymmetrical horror games, as I mentioned before. It's very straight, look perfectly on point for the 80s. Dare I say, they look clowny. They added enough new stuff to the lore, to the weapons, to give it more strategy and replayability, and the theme of the game just makes it vivid and exciting and wild and just generally fun to play, even if the actual gameplay isn't really that different than Friday the 13th or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think this is going to be a fantastic party game with friends. It's something that me and my wife actually plan on playing a little bit on our own to see how it kind of goes. I think that this will just be something that's really good for kicks and giggles. I think I'm not going to have any complaints about it. And I think that when you're done playing, after you've hunted down all the humans, be sure to wash the clown makeup off your face. Well, guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, see ya, Space Clown. Drifter out. we have enough food, I suppose. We weren't able to complete that objective. You do have the option to just straight up kill humans if you want, but that doesn't benefit you as much as harvesting their blood in the form of cotton candy. As a clown, you're not immortal or invincible, though. It's actually not that hard for humans to kill you by popping your big red nose, and it's a good strategy if you're playing as clowns to actually attack at least 2-on-1. Typically somebody that can slow and distract, and another one that can deal damage. And wrap them up with the cotton candy gun. Oh, and for some reason,